What is going on, everybody? I'm Adam Fraser, the host of the River Run podcast, and I welcome you to another episode. How are you tonight? What is going on? We are in the River Run household, as the studio, whatever you want to call it. I am here. I'm thankful for all of you. Yeah, what's going on? Like we're getting through the summer, that's for sure. Tropical depression Debbie. I've never seen so much rain in my life, and I lived in Vancouver. So yeah, no, that was wild. What's kind of interesting about that is I actually spent a Friday down in Paul Smith, New York. I was down there with a teammate of mine by the name of AJ, who runs Battle Fish Charters out of Saranac Lake, Tupper Lake, the Adirondacks. He's a guide down there. I was invited to come down and take part in the Reeling for Recovery kids fishing camp, which is a camp geared to help kids who tend to be more in the high risk, just kids who are, either going through a hard time, have been affected by it, or have lost somebody that they care about deeply due to drugs. And I was really honored to be able to have the opportunity to come down. And it's a really cool event. Like, you had, I believe there was there's 36 spots, but I think 25, but based on the weather, I think there was a couple that couldn't make it, obviously, because travel was absolutely ridiculous on that day, but it was really cool. I got down there, AJ, I got to see my other buddy, Marty, and we welcomed these campers in, and these campers were, young boys, young girls, all kids who were just thrilled about fishing, man. It was incredible. And a lot of happy faces, kids who were just they just wanted to talk fishing with you. They wanted to show you their tackle boxes. They showed you rods and whatnot. And through the course of the day, we got to spend some time out on the water. We also got to spend some time just talking about fishing. We got talking about kayak fishing, which was really cool. I had a bunch of them, doing PFDs, which was my number one thing. Always wear your PFD when you're out on the water. So I had to install this into these kids, right? And they're like, "Oh man, why do you guys wear PFDs?" They're like, "Because we could die." And I was like, "Well, you know what? At the end of the day, that is so true. And you know what? It is important, at least, that that could happen." So these kids had the opportunity to go out there and paddle, fish, and I even got the chance to go fishing on the bank with some of them that evening. And we really were working within this whole torrential downpour of tropical depression Debbie, which she didn't stop us. She wasn't going to stop us. We got out there, we fished, one of the kids, they all wanted to know what worked and what doesn't work. And you know what? I just said, guys, you just do what works for you. And if you think this is going to work, just throw it, just go out there. So I had a friend of mine, he's like, "What about the wacky rig?" And I was like, "You know what? I love the wacky rig." He's like, "How do you set it up?" So I tied it on. I showed him. I casted it out there for him. I handed him the rod. He's like, "Can I just finish my snack?" And I said, "Sure, dude. I'll hold on to this rod, I guess." So I just kept reeling it. And then all of a sudden I felt a little tug. And I said, "Are you done your snack yet?" And he looks at me and goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, can you just take the rod here? Because I got to make a phone call." And I handed it to him. And I tell you, man, it brought a lot of joy just seeing how happy he was. And he I'm going to be honest. We had the biggest bass that day. I'm going to give it to him. He reeled that thing in. He was so proud. And his mom was actually there because every kid had a guardian with them. And, just the sheer excitement, and his happiness, and he was just so proud to just hold the fish, and he just carefully put it back and he released it. And I'll be honest, it made my day. Like it was really cool. And each and one of those kids, even the girls there, they had this team there, and they wanted to go shark fishing. And I said, you know what? I don't think there's any fit sharks in this lake that we're fishing, but if you ever get the chance, do it, because I think that would be a really cool experience. I personally never gone shark fishing, but it is something I want to do. Anyways, I just wanted to say, if you ever have the opportunity to take somebody fishing, especially like a kid, like whether it's, like a younger brother, sister, cousin, whatever, man, do it. Take them out. Like you don't have to go on a boat. You don't have to do it by kayak. If you want to do it by kayak, cool. That's even better. You want to go on a boat, but just go on the bank, grab some worms, go fishing. Like, man, you can really change the kids' days. And you know what? I'm sure I think, it's probably tough for a lot of them. A lot of kids these days, there's a lot going on. I think sometimes everybody needs an escape. And if you think about how fishing makes you feel when you're out there, and the way it makes you escape from your reality, and the way it may help aid in your recovery, and, and what it's done for you and the people that, you share it with, you can instill this in these children. And these are the next generation anglers. And you know what? The more support we give them, the better our chances of keeping this sport alive. And especially when I see young guys, girls getting out in kayaks, getting those fishing rods out there, and they're doing it. Why? Because they're excited about it. Let's keep them excited about it. So yeah, no. And if you have the opportunity and you're looking to do a guided fishing trip in the Adirondacks, go check out Battlefish Charters. You can find him on Instagram. He has a website, battlefishcharters.com. His name is AJ. He is a phenomenal human being. I'm very honored to call him a friend. And at the same time, he's awesome sauce. Like you have to meet him to see him. And he's I would say he's probably the top guide out there. But yeah, he does it all. So if you've got a special species of fish that you're looking to catch, get in contact with him. Adirondacks, New York is a beautiful area. So yeah, no. I recently was watching the Kayak Adventure Series again, which I was really like to make it down to the Susquehanna to see that, but unfortunately, I was fishing with a bunch of young folks, and we were having a good time. And you know what? It was awesome. But I did see that once again, Ryan Parker has won the Kayak Adventure Series, the Festa on the Susky, and like, I got to give it to you, man. Congratulations. That's amazing. Like, wow. Like, and to do it in such, like, you guys did that in Tropical Depression Debbie. So awesome job. Well done. And yeah, so don't forget, DuBro Fishing has a awesome discount. Save 10%. Use the discount code with DuBro. Why? Well, because at DuBroFishing.com, you can use the River Run podcast discount, which is RRUN, all capitals, 10, save 10% at checkout. Use it. DuBro's got a lot of awesome stuff to check out. It's got all your fishing needs in it, So this episode, my guest is Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell is not only a Jackson Kayak fishing team member, but he also is one of the coordinators of the Mid-Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing Club, which is a club that, just like any other kayak bass fishing, but does the Mid-Atlantic. So without further ado, I would like to bring on to the show my guest, Matt Campbell. Matt, hey. What's going on, dude?
Not much. How you doing, Adam? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you for coming on down the River Run podcast, because I'm always excited to talk kayak fishing. And I gotta say, it's really awesome to also have a fellow JK member sitting in on the podcast. This is fun. Because we both love JK, so and we both have JK boats, and I'm sure we could talk long about how we rig things and how we do things. But for the guests that don't know you, I'll let you take the stage, my friend, and you can introduce yourself.
So as Adam said, my name is Matt Campbell. Part of the JK team, have been for about 3 years now. I appreciate and love being a part of the JK family. It's been awesome. I originally started kayak fishing in 2013. I think like a lot of folks, I did the glitter boat with my dad until he retired and took the glitter boat south. And I took one season off and then had to find a way to get on the water, and found a kayak, and I've been in a kayak ever since. I've also been a part of the MAKBF, Mid-Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing. Been part of the leadership since 2015. So I've been fishing this series since the beginning of 2014. So I've got a few years under my belt, got a lot of practice in the kayaks. And just, we go out and have fun, love to get out with fellow JK teammates, some of the folks here, and, just go fishing.
Hey, that's what it's all about, right? Like at the end of the day, like as much as I'm sure there's there's good competition involved, and everybody's kind of got that playful chirping, you know what I mean? Like it's always fun. We're all just out there for the same reason, right? I gotta ask you, so you came from the bass boat world, and then you went into the kayak fishing world. And like for me, I didn't really come from the bass boat world. I'll be honest, I came from, bank fishing. I have done in many bass boats, but I was not a competitor in that. But, for me, when I got into kayak fishing, like it was a whole new experience. Like, what was that experience for you? Like what really sealed the deal? You know what I mean? Like, how did you, when you first got out there, do you remember what that experience was like back in 2013?
I do. I think, the immediate reaction was the kayak. I could take it anywhere. It wasn't limited to only fishing, big rivers, big reservoirs, lakes, that type of thing. I mean, the ability to, whether it's jumping a pond or a creek or a small river, aptly named the river run here. I love chasing smallmouth in the river. And especially being in a kayak, that the ability to get into those different places that nobody else can, those boats can't get in all the places that we catch fish. And
no,
to have the freedom to just throw the kayak in the car or on the car and, get rolling, and, hey, where do we want to go this time? We're not limited to anywhere we want to go. I think that was the biggest thing that hit me right away.
Now, that it's funny when you talk about that whole idea of getting into, those areas that you can't, get in with a bass boat. I don't know if maybe I'm not really sure how it would have gone, but had I maybe steered more to going with the boat, I don't know if I would be that into river fishing the way that I am today. Like, though, for me, that idea to get into those unique access points that, may not always be a boat launch. It may be, down the side of a road that ends up, into a nice little clear patch that you can actually put a boat in the kayak in the water or canoe, like those not always the most simplest launches. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I love that idea, that you can get out there and just go anywhere. And there's just so many unique bodies of water that, you could be the only person out there for miles before you cross paths with either, somebody canoeing or another person kayaking, or, that maybe there is a small little boat launch in the area that only can do little, John boats. And so, yeah, no. I think, as kayak anglers, you're also a Jackson team member. what was that experience like? What drew you to Jackson? As like for me, I started in a wilderness systems, and then I went to a Pelican, and then I ended up purchasing my first Jackson. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like game over for me. And it's actually the Lizka that I had in the intro video. Is for me, that's my first Jackson. Still have it. And what was your first Jackson?
So a little like you, I started in wilderness because I had some folks at the time that I knew that were in wilderness. My first Jackson was actually the Mayfly.
Cool.
So, which was a wide open, great platform. For me, I'm a big guy, so having the room, the open room in front of me is huge. Because it makes me feel a lot more comfortable. The years ago, a lot of the kayaks, even though you could stand up into them, they were tonal. They were real skinny. My big feet had, struggled with my balance on me in that, and to get that wide open platform on that Mayfly and have all the room, that I wanted to use in front of me. That was unbelievable. That platform was, I think it's unfortunate that it didn't sell quite as well, because I think it's one of the best platforms I've ever had.
I never got the opportunity to actually use the Mayfly. I had seen it. I wish, and I hope at some point maybe I'll cross paths with one that I'll get the opportunity to go on it. But man, I love just the open concept. There's just so many kayaks. They're great kayaks, but that front space is just. I need space, I'm 6'4". So the more space I have to kind of stretch out, but just that open deck concept, I love it. And that's one of the things I loved about my Liska that drew me to it at first, is that I had the ability to put things in front of me without feeling like I was, tight. I wouldn't be able to move here or there. I still had leg room. I was still able to lay, let's say 2 rods in front of me or 3 rods in front of me, so
not worry about potentially breaking them if you moved your foot,
yeah totally. And it's funny you say that, because I remember going out, for instance, in the wilderness systems, and I had to have everything. It was I had to take my little tackle bag, put it way behind me, and every time I went to turn over, I felt like I was going to be, ending up in the water. And then I would always have 2 rods, but the rods it was just always in my way. And even in the Pelican, I was very open concept, whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm there's a lot of great kayaks, like I said, out there, but to me, they just lack the space. They just lack that open deck concept that I'm sure there's a lot of anglers who like that. And I am definitely one of them. So, but Jackson still has a couple boats out there that still have that nice open concept. So you went the Mayfly, and after the Mayfly, where did you end up then?
So after the Mayfly, I had a Bite FD. So I had both of those in the fleet for a little while, and then moved on to the NAR, and then along with the NAR, the Coosa X. So nice. Unfortunately, the Bite FD and the Mayfly have gone on to other owners, newer owners, so that they can be utilized. Because I've got a little more space these days, but for a while there, it was small living, so I had to keep it pretty trim.
It's true though. A lot of these fishing kayaks, whether they are Jacksons or whatnot, they do take up a lot of room, and unless you got there's options to maximize, I guess, your utilize the space that you have. But yeah, I don't think if I had the garage that I had right now, I don't think I would be able to even house both of my kayaks and my trailer. I would have to really kind of say, okay, well, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to put one aside, like one's got to go. So, and like right now, my pedal drive is the B.A.S.S FD, which I'm slowly in my past year just kind of finalizing the rigging on it, like just finally getting it, because it is a different boat compared to my Liska. You know what I mean? Like the open concept really is not there. In the fact that you have a pedal drive right in front of you, so my rod rigging and whatnot. But I think through the help of some great teammates and others, I think I'm nailing it down. I think it's finally getting to where it needs. But like, how did you rig your B.A.S.S FD?
For mine, I think the B.A.S.S FD was really the kind of turning in me trying to keep it simple. So I try not to put everything on there. Because I was getting, with my mayfly for a while, I was getting to the point where I was just piling and stacking. And, you see some of the tournament anglers that go out there and they've got, 8, 10, 12 rods and, it looks like a whole tackle store and
battleship ready.
And I started actually thinking about it, looking at it, like I tend to throw the similar things depending on the season and time of year. So the B.A.S.S FD was my more keep it simple platform. I did have, a black pack behind me, had a couple of rod holders on there, but I tried to keep it to like 3 or 4 rods and simplified tackle. So it actually kept for a pretty open platform and not a ton of additional items. So for me, I just kept it simple, which is great because that platform was that, the JK drive, that Mark IV drive is, that's an amazing platform.
It really is. Like, and for me, like, even when I was like, kind of like, I'm going to do my first pedal drive, but I personally don't know if I'm ready for like big boats. I don't know if I really need the Nard, even the Kusa FD. Like I just, and I said, what, if I'm going to do a pedal drive, I really like the B.A.S.S FD. And for me, especially in that playa color, like that color scheme is like, I absolutely love it.
Looks great.
And it's just such a cool blue with the black and a little bit of beige and
that's a sharp looking boat.
Yeah, it really is. And so when I first got it, like it was a new experience, but yeah, like that flex drive, man, when you get going, like I can boogie down the river and like I don't even have like a motor on it. Like I am the motor, you know what I mean? Like, like I was really impressed. Like, and I have to say I've been pretty impressed with it. It's for me, I think it really fits. And also my 11-year-old son is like, if I go out in the Liska, he keeps up no problem in the B.A.S.S FD, which is awesome. And he's just like doing his thing and I'm fishing over here. He's fishing, you know what I mean? So at the same time, awesome. It's cool.
Yeah.
You also, as a tournament boat, like, when you're talking about keeping it simple, like as a tournament angler, it's easy, like you said, to go out there with so much and think you need to cover every base. I'm sure now, when you first got into tournaments fishing, and now, would you say you still go out, with all of that gear, or have you kind of in some ways nailed this down to, a more strategic platform to fish on, having, maybe not taking out as many rods as you used to and utilizing what you have more effectively?
I think for a lot of the year, I've definitely simplified and I understand, hey, look, these are the typical types of things I'm going to throw, unless you see like a curveball and a weather pattern coming. I kind of have my basic staples. Now, if you got a curveball and weather pattern, you're probably going to throw a couple extra things in there just because of the changes. You don't know, but
for sure.
I think I've simplified it pretty well. Throughout the summer, I use Acoustic X, and there's a lot of the times I go to tournaments and I have just a few rods, and I use the JK underseat storage bag, and I've got a couple of Plano tactical boxes in there and a bag full of plastics, and I don't even have a black pack. No extra items, and that's what I roll with.
Now, let's talk about the JK underseat bag, because that thing is one item that I really need to add to my Bite FD. And I've seen awesome reviews about it. I've never personally used it, so I can't really say all that much. But from other team member reviews, just from other clients who've been out on the water, I would say that bag really checks off a lot of room and storage taken away from, even like you said, black pack or just any crate in the back, whether you run like a milk crate or some of the other crates that are available on the market. But that's a lot of weight out of the back that you may not necessarily think is adding much, but when you go and start adding other things like motors and whatnot, you might actually gain a little more speed out of your kayak, maybe just putting things underneath your seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Now when it comes to it, you have that on your Coosa X, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Coosa X was another boat that I would say, it's definitely going to be my next boat for sure when that day comes. But what drew you to the Coosa X? As a tournament summer boat, obviously that, as we spoke about open concept, it's definitely all there. But really, what drew you to it?
The biggest thing's open concept, because it's got that wide open in front of you option. So you got a lot of versatility in what you can do, how you want to set it up. That, and the fact that it's such a great riverboat. Because I do I'm a bigger user of my NAR in the spring and the fall when we're hitting some of the lakes and reservoirs and bigger water. But throughout the summer months, I'm in that Coosa X all the time on the river. Nice. And that platform, when you hear from, fellow team members like Bill DuBro and Russell Johnson, who are big time river fishermen and been doing it way longer than I ever have. And they said that thing was absolutely amazing on the river, and then got it on the river. It's that platform is great. And it was, we actually at the Bassmaster a couple of weeks ago
on the Susquehanna.
On the Susquehanna, one of our fellow teammates, Lance McWhirter, was up for the week, and he and I got to pre-fish a bunch together, which was a lot of fun because I haven't spent time on
very cool.
With him. And he was in the Coosa X, and it's his first time putting it in. We got him in some quicker water that he wasn't quite used to, but he saw what that kayak can do, and he already loved it to begin with, but absolutely doubled down on it, saying, yeah, hands down, the river and this platform is unbelievable.
Yeah, because he has the red, I believe, is it Morning Dawn is the Breaking Dawn, I think it is.
I believe so.
Yeah, the color scheme, which is a red and blue. There's a shot that you have on your Instagram, which has you guys' boats, the two Coosa X, and you have the yellow jacket, which is the exact one that I want. Which I just love the way it stands out on the water. But no, it's really cool to see that photo of your two Coosa X's sitting there, on the river. Even like Travis Myers, like he's another extraordinary river angler, and even he's like taking that out, and just the way he's spoken about it, it's really neat to see for anybody who is a river angler. There is, because the Coosa was the original river boat for fishing, to come out now. And I remember even when I saw the first video for it, and even Jeff Little when he did his video of it, when he took it, and I believe he put a torpedo on the back of it also. And yeah, no, I was like, wow, I am drawn to this boat. Like, this is really cool. Now, I gotta say, I can see you run a torpedo on it.
I do.
So what, like, I gotta ask you, like, what drew you, like, for one, how long have you been running a motor, let's say, on your kayaks? And was the Coosa X your first time with a motor on, or was there boats previous that had it?
No, actually, the Mayfly, I set that up with a motor. So the Mayfly was my first one with a motor. So about 2020, I think, is when I started running a motor. And it's honestly a lot of help with the rivers, and being able to work in current and continue to fish was, a huge draw. I had friends, I'm in the region with Jeff Little, who I know and I fished with before, and it's several other of the Torpedo team members. And at that point, Newport wasn't really rolling.
No.
But to see the motor and their ability to fish in current and continue fishing even while moving upriver in the current by just using the motor was a huge win.
So I like and I bet it would, like, because I've been out with a fellow team member, Aaron Dodds, and he has a torpedo on his NAR in the Tiger Shark scheme. And I gotta say, like, it's pretty neat. Like, I've seen some of the other guys with like Newports and Motor Guide XI3s on the front, and Michael Blatt down in New Hampshire. He's got the I believe it's the XI3 guide on the front of his NAR. It's neat, just seeing everybody's perspective on motors throughout and what does. But the torpedo, like, that thing is that's got a long lasting, imprint on the kayak fishing world. Like, the amount of people that run torpedoes, they're set up. Now, which torpedo do you run on your Coosa X at the moment?
So I'm actually running the 1103.
Okay.
So I originally started with the 403, and then decided to upgrade last 2023 spring. So I was able to upgrade and get the 1103.
No, that's like, and I gotta say, like, even like you like, when you get torpedo, you get the whole package. You know what I mean? Like, your battery, and when you're going with some of these other brands that you get the motor, you get the steering package, whatnot, but your battery it's up to you. You got it. Do you find it, having that you're only running a torpedo battery, with that full system that it has, the range, that percentage that kind of lets like where you're going to be, that has to give you a little more comfort, you know what I mean? Like, knowing that you can, how far you can go, where to the ability to actually get back to where you need to be, without having to, let's say paddle, or even have to paddle back, paddling back.
Yeah, it's definitely comfortable. And honestly, I have a second battery that I keep on the kayak with me just in case, but I think I've only had to go to it, in the last year and a half. I think I did it once, and it was just one of those really funky days where the bite was off, and so I was running a lot more than I usually do. But I mean, I've that one 915 watt hour battery, and understanding where I am and the percentage in the process. But I mean, I've run it on the river all day long, just cruising up current, and it's more than enough all day long.
Now, your biggest ability on the being a river angler, with the Torquedo is you're able to kind of like hang out in those current spots where you wouldn't really necessarily be able to unless you had a motor, and effectively actually being probably in some ways, would you say it's more in the sense that you're actually able to effectively fish that body of water, fish those, whether, wherever you are on that river, that motor being able to hold you in that spot where, the fish tend to be biting, where you would have to work a little harder with a paddle or even a pedal drive.
Yeah, definitely. For instance, here on the Susquehanna, which I get, I'm lucky enough to be close to and get to fish on a pretty regular basis. In the summertime, the water drips down a little bit, and you'll get sections where between islands, it's a pretty good current. It's not anything that you cannot handle, but there's no paddling and fishing when you're in that section of current. You'd have to try and find an eddy or a spot to anchor. You can pedal into it, but you're going to be working real hard. Whereas if you can just tap the motor throttle down, set it right, I mean, you could even stay in place and fish a whole section and then move on.
Now, you just brought up a point about not the motor, but an anchor. Do you run a anchor on your Cusacks? Because it has that through haul anchor. Okay.
I did not set mine up on the through haul just because I have the option to move it between kayaks. But I do run.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Nice. Like on my bite, my bite FD, I just run it down through the handle part, and I just run it like a 5-pound weight on it, and or I have a set of like drag chains that I can put on if I kind of want to slow it down. But no, I was just curious if you were also one to utilize that. Now, I did actually wanted to ask you, the Susquehanna River Bassmaster event, powered by Tourney X, I think it was. Susquehanna River, powered by Tourney X. Man, I gotta say, you finished 21st. Congratulations! That's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
It's really cool. That's quite the playing field, and at the same time, that's a lot of river with a lot of folks who have, are out there hitting it hard. You got some pretty big names out there, but man, you really held up there, man. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was an awesome weekend. Lance and I in the house during the week, we're talking, actually all the folks in the house with us, we were talking, the goal was if you could put up 90 inches both days, we figured, you'd have a good finish, because we didn't think that everybody could put up back-to-back days, because it's, as much as I love the national tournaments, when they come to the Susquehanna, everybody comes for a full week, and there's a lot of fish caught during the week. So between day one and day two, you almost always see a drop off, in averages and what folks can do, and if they can put up back-to-back days. And so I actually got off the water and I put up 88 and change the first day and 89 and change.
Yeah. So first day you had 88 and 3/4 or 0.75. And the second day you had 89.75 inches. Man, that's awesome. Like the guy, I'll be honest with you, by the looks of it, and I'm just looking kind of just quickly here, but some people obviously had like on the second day, your winner here knocked out at 94.25, but for the most part, 91, 90, 80, 80, some people only had 85. Like, you look like you had a pretty good second day. Like, to come in there, you were obviously an inch more than you were. But now I gotta ask, where team strategy here, like, between Lance and yourself here, like, were you guys obviously you fished the Susquehanna before, he has before or has not, but you guys kind of have obviously a chance to kind of work as a team on this, or was it more just okay, like kind of help each other out, and you probably spent time pre-fishing together, or did you not?
We did. We pre-fished together, and it's good because it was neat on some of the aspects with insight. Lance has fished this only a couple of times, I believe, as far as the time periods. I think once last year and then this year for the tournament. So it's interesting on his trying different things versus what I kind of tunnel into at times, because I like this works here, and how he approached it. He actually caught a really good fish in practice, a 20-incher, which was awesome to see him catch that. And
did he not put a picture up of that, I think, on Instagram?
He did. Oh,
yeah, that was a beautiful fish, man. Beautiful fish.
But it's interesting to as we pre-fished, we were near each other, but kind of hitting different patterns and being able to test the waters. And, and then of course with the folks in the house, every time you get back, we're kind of like, hey, how'd you guys do today? But it allowed us to cover a lot of water and get an idea of, what we felt would be comfortable for us days 1 and 2. We ended up actually fishing probably about 50 miles apart.
Oh, wow.
From pre-fishing, I found one little stretch that I liked. He found one little stretch that he liked in a different location. And we both went after it. He unfortunately had a lot more water change in his area. It rose a bunch coming into Saturday and then dropped a bunch overnight going into Sunday. So that really messed with his bite. The bigger fish he had kind of moved. Mine luckily was fairly stable. So my fish, honestly, I fished a fairly small area in the scheme of things, and just I hit it right in the morning and they were there, and I caught fish all day, but I couldn't upgrade after about 8:30 in the morning.
Now, for like, if you just want to talk, like what kind of patterns, if you want to talk like lures, whatever, if you don't have to share if you don't want to, but like what was working, like what were you running, what was working for you?
For me, most of my fish that I scored came off of topwater. So nice. That's which outside of a week like this where you get a bunch of people throwing topwater all week, once it gets warm till the time it really kicks off of being warm, it's topwater all season. So I was able to throw topwater, and then I actually caught some on a crankbait too.
Now, I'm just curious, but like, if like everybody's going to be down on the Susquehanna, did you automatically go in there thinking like, you know what, I'm going to still throw a topwater, even though you probably got a good chance that out of all of those 224 other anglers that were probably throwing topwater also, was that kind of still something that you thought you would still work a pattern on game day? Like that's got to be a bit of a question mark to, do I still kind of, are they still going to hit a whopper plopper? Are they still going to hit a buzz bait? Are they still going to hit the chopo? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think when going into it during the week, if I were to stay on the main body and the main sections where I knew a lot of folks were going to be, no, I knew that was not going to work. I was going to have to find a different pattern, which I did catch pre-fishing during the week. I did catch a lot of fish on the jackhammer, which works amazing on that river. But I got away from the crowds and I actually went up the Juniata River a little bit.
Oh,
and got
wow.
away. And so there were still 5 or 6 folks that launched at the same place I did, but they fished it completely different than I did. So I
Oh,
went to my starting spot and just basically hammered it for, 2.5, 3 hours and caught what I can catch as far as good fish.
well, that's like I said, man, that's a pretty impressive finish, and also like just it's really cool to hear like your 2 days out there. I was following along. I'd seen your posts, and yeah, no, it was interesting to see, because I think the year before, on the Susquehanna, which would have been in October, I think it was
Mhm.
last year. Josh Shranko was he had won it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
no, that's
He hit him
so
good both days.
yeah. So, it's cool. But as as we get into like talking tournaments here, and like obviously you're a tournament angler, the Mid Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing Series. This is cool. So the Mid Atlantic, um, your let's get into your coordinators. Like, who are the coordinators that with you, your leadership team? Like, who's on board with that?
So there's 5 of us total. Of the 5 of us, we have Jake Harshman, who's a lot of folks know because he's a great angler up on the Susquehanna. He uh, helps us out with a lot of our media. So he's been doing an amazing job on the Instagram
Yeah.
and Facebook posts this year, which has been great. He also helped us with marketing with some of the folks. We have Trey Leach from Innovative Sportsman.
Oh,
I think a
wow.
lot of folks know him originally for the rock guard on the Torpedo, which, by the
Yeah.
way, if you're going to run a motor on the rivers with the rocks, please buy a Torpedo because it's going to save you a ton of, or a rock guard. It's going to save you a ton of money. And then he also has an inflatable Osprey.
Oh, yeah. That thing is so. I gotta say that those kayaks, like inflatables, I've never personally been on one, but I would like to try it. I think it's really cool, and just a new stability, a new way to get across the water. Like, as you know, we've all been kind of floating plastic. You know what I mean? Now you're on an inflatable, so you've seen the videos for online. Obviously, Vic Harshman, he's one who has posted a lot about that, and Jeff Little, some of those other guys are even into the NRS brands. But no, that's really cool. So you have your so you got some that help with obviously with media coverage, and then your others focus more on just like tournament director style stuff.
Well, you have Josh Evans, who's a fellow teammate of ours at JK.
Yeah,
So
JK.
he's
Yeah,
actually, one of my best friends in the world and got me
that's
on
cool.
to JK team and really got me involved with him. The 3 of those guys honestly help a lot with marketing and dealing with local communities. So we've got some amazing help this year from some different counties that we fish in, which has been amazing. And then myself, and then Aaron Fetterman, who is our president. So Aaron Fetterman is our tournament director. Any issues come up with a tournament, he's the first to take the call or answer the questions. And then I help a lot with our website and some of our behind the scenes number crunching and working on like Angler of the Year stats and things like that. But it's a good balance within the team. And then of course, any decisions like whether it's schedule or a question that comes in for an angler about how something was judged, we have our group to get together and made sure it was an odd number so we could never tie.
No, that's cool. That's cool. So you're you guys do obviously you're a live event. Do you do online events also?
We do. We have a monthly online tournament series, which is basically, if you kind of drew a bubble of our region, which is the kind of the north half of Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you, like, in the big scheme of things, where does that actually, the Mid-Atlantic, get covered here?
Yeah, so that's kind of what we deem Mid-Atlantic, and you can participate in the online series fishing any public body of water, and we utilize a portion of the money coming in for that online series as a donation every month to Heroes on the Water. So we have a local chapter here that we give some money to help
Right on,
support
man.
them.
No, that's really awesome that you guys take that time to also give back to your community, and especially obviously like Heroes on the Water. That's really cool. So your series this year or this season has taken you guys kind of all over. Now you have a you guys even have like a champion championship
Like our
tournament.
DOC, a Tournament of Champions. So that's actually our regular season live events actually just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago on the Susquehanna. So our regular season events are done for the year. We do have, a team event that we're hosting this coming weekend, which is kind of
Is that the Delaware?
Yeah, so it's in Delaware. Delaware Paddle Sports is our big sponsor. They're an amazing shop in Delaware. If you ever looking for a kayak and you're in the area or even close, because they drive all the way down to the Carolinas and all the way up to Jersey and above at times delivering kayaks.
I think I'd seen that on Instagram or Facebook. I'd seen them talking about their deliveries where they actually take them. That's really cool. And for paddle shops, you don't always see that. You know what I mean? Like they may not even really be willing to ship. It's like you got to come and pick it up. So for the folks that maybe don't have the ability to get it to them, that's really cool for Delaware Paddle Sports to actually go that extra mile to, I'm sure that really says a lot about their staff and at the same time, their customer service that they provide.
They're a great shop, and they've been with us the whole time, and we've watched them growing from, a smaller shop with a little bit of inventory to taking over pretty much a yard, 2 yards over next to them and filling it full of kayaks. And they did pretty much any brand or type you want, and then as well as all the rigging options. And they're a great shop. But they're hosting a weekend for us, and we're doing like a fun team event this weekend as kind of a give back and let folks go out and check out the shop and talk to them about kayaks and anything you would like to demo.
So when you talk about a team event, that's two anglers. Now, do you fish the team event?
Typically I would. Unfortunately, this weekend I have a conflict that came up. We originally scheduled this earlier in the season, and due to a change in the live event schedule, we had to move this event.
Oh, okay.
But what we do is we basically have everybody sign up, and then we're gonna draw names, and you're gonna get paired up with someone random. So we give everybody a fair shot across the board, so nobody's stacking a team.
That's cool. I really like that approach, man. I got Matt. That's really cool. Like you kind of go there like, okay, I'm going to be on a team. Like, maybe maybe it'll be like Josh Evans and I. You know what I mean? Like we could be and then all of a sudden it's you and somebody else. That's cool. That actually adds to the excitement. I like that. That's neat.
It's fun. It mixes up skill levels, but then also, at times we get in the habit of, hey, this is my group that I'm going to fish with. Well, this is going to jumble that up at times and get you to talk to someone else and fish with someone different, see some different perspectives and options. So a little bit of fun.
No, I think that's pretty neat because you could take like I'm just looking right now, okay? And let's say, like you look like you have quite a standing here for your live events and whatnot, but it would be kind of cool, as a new angler to go out there and get paired up with, somebody like Matt Campbell. Like Matt Campbell, today we're gonna go out there and we're gonna fish the team event. And as a new angler, not only are you really familiar with the sport of kayak fishing, but you actually they might actually learn something. They might walk away, actually with something valuable other than, let's just say, like, leaderboard bragging rights. You know what I mean? You actually might learn something while you're out there. And it's cool too, because you two, as anglers, we all kind of do things differently. Our approach on the water is, the way we dissect water, the way that, tournament days are run. You may be more of a power fisherman. I might be more of a finesse. You know what I mean? So that's a really cool dynamic to have. I gotta say, man, that I would like to see that actually up this way. That's pretty neat to see all that being done and like giving people the opportunity and the excitement of the day. You don't know who you're going to be fishing with. So
yeah, go have some fun, meet somebody new.
So so let's just kind of get a little history here. The mid-Atlantic kayak bass fishing, like, when did this all come together? Like kind of let's have a history lesson, let's say, on the mid-Atlantic kayak fishing. So
this originally started in 2013. A gentleman actually by the name of Matt Baden started it. It's kind of if you've been kayak fishing for a while, it was kind of the point where things really started to blow up, so to speak. Torpedoes were out. Jackson was come out with new models. Wilderness was. Hobie had their platforms. And so he lives in Maryland and decided, they had a few groups of guys that were wanting to fish together and said, hey, let's just go to a ramp and start a series. And he got it rolling back in 2013. And, with 2013, 14, and 15, we immediately saw the numbers start growing because there were a lot more folks getting into kayak fishing.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Then he asked me to come on in 2015 to help out. And there's been a few other folks for a number of years there. But so we started in 2013, and let's say maybe 8 or 10 anglers at a time in a tournament. And now we're, through started in 2013 where everybody had to bring back their camera or phone and show you pictures at the ramp. And that's how you judge the fish. You wrote, basically had a notepad and you're writing down numbers and adding them up to see who had what. And to, 2024, where we're using Tourney X, everybody can follow along and see how things are going. And this year we're actually averaging a little over 50 anglers a tournament.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Like,
yeah, we're having a really good year. We've been so excited and pumped to have everybody come out and the events.
That also has to say something about the directors, the coordinators, like what you guys are doing. You gotta say that your panel of coordinators are obviously doing a fantastic job, and the hard work is really paying off. And that's awesome to see too, that more people are getting excited about kayak fishing, and at the same time, there's that sense of friendly camaraderie to come out there and fish. And at the same time, hey, you get to walk away with probably some pretty sweet prizes. You could walk away with a pretty sweet payout. No, that's and like, you guys have some pretty neat sponsors, I have to say. Like, just kind of looking at your banners here, like, you guys like, by the looks of it, Innovated Sportsman, Batson Enterprises, Newport, fishing the DMV, the Juniata River Valley. Like that's just to kind of obviously Delaware paddle sports. But no, like that's cool. Like there's obviously a lot of companies too who are like, super pumped to be a part of what you guys are doing. Like that's really awesome. I think you all deserve a sweet, awesome pat on the back for that. That's really cool.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. I'll definitely pass that on.
No, please do, because that's good to see. It's good to see, and also you guys take a lot of time too to you're also promoting looks like fishing too on the Susquehanna River and other rivers in the area. Looks like you guys even had some pretty awesome pictures of other teammates like Josh Evans on the river too. So no, like that's cool. And I think you guys also have TFO rods, I think was
they're one of our sponsors. Yeah.
That's like you, because I continuously see Jake Harshman posting about their rods and reels and their rods, and so that that's cool. That's you guys seem to have really put together an awesome series covering the full Mid-Atlantic. So no, that's cool, man. I gotta give it to you guys. So like what's next? Like what's happening next for the Mid-Atlantic? So you got the team event coming up, and then you guys have your championship tournament of champions. Sorry, the looks to be October 5th through the 6th on Goldsboro. Is that a river or a lake? I'm not familiar with that.
So, funny enough, Goldsboro is actually a section of the Susquehanna, but when they dam up certain sections, they almost give them like lake names. So, Goldsboro is going to be a tournament of champions location. But what's a lot of fun about that is it's early October, so you're going to get that fall feed going on. And there's certain sections of that body of water more towards the top that are a lot more like the river above it, which we all have fished the last couple of months. But you also have sections below it that are a lot more like a lake and have a lot of grass. So there's a potential to catch some really great smallmouth, which we've seen multiple 20-inch smallmouth come out of those stretches. But we've also seen 5, 6, and 7 pound largemouth come out of other stretches.
So, like, okay, like I'm going to read the post here because it says we are very excited to announce this event. The Goldsboro pool of the Susquehanna River is an absolute overlook in most all cases. There are so many big fish, both brown and green, that live in this section of river. It presents an array of opportunities, so many different skill sets too. And like I got to give it to you who handles the social media here, but like it says, do you like mats, frog fishing, punching? It has it. Like rock ledges, fast current, it has it. Grass islands, current seams, slack water, no current, deep submerged grass beds, it has it. And then it goes to say that there has been 22-inch smallmouth caught in this section of river and 22-inch largemouth caught within the bounds of it. Like, wow, that is like, I'm gonna say, like, to me, this is like it should be championship burrow. You know what I mean? Like and it's gold burrows for a reason. I get it now in the name, yeah. Which I thought, and I'll be honest with you, at first I thought that was a lake, just the way it proved. It looks, but now that I'm actually taking a moment to read it here, that's cool. Like, so yeah, there's like some you could walk away with like personal best being in like a 22-inch smallmouth. I have not yet cross paths with anything like that, but that's you don't come across that every day. Like, I don't know, maybe the folks who live in and around this section of the Susquehanna maybe do, but no, that's a awesome pick of a spot to actually do a tournament of champions. You know, you worked hard all season for it. You're there, and now you're not only going to maybe walk away with a sweet check, cash a check that day and get a big W, but at the same time, you might break a personal best with a 22-inch smallmouth or a largemouth. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we're super pumped as a leadership group because, you know, the tough thing with the water that we have around here is to find a balance. And, you know, that body of water, just as a description you read, you know, okay, if you're a good smallmouth fisherman, go chase some smallmouth. But if you don't like to and you want to chase some largemouth, there's some tanks in there too. So, I mean, for an example, we fished it a couple years ago for an event in the September time frame, and I put up 96.5 inches in one day, and I lost. I did not win the tournament that day.
What, like, do you remember what the winning, like, for inches was that day?
I think it was 97.25. And it was all, both of our limits were all smallmouth.
Wow.
So
now, have you had the luxury of like pulling a 20+ inch smallmouth out of this? Or are you like do you hold a 22-inch in your records as a personal best at all?
The biggest I've caught is a 20. I've seen some bigger ones, but biggest I've caught is a 20. You know, on that day I actually had all 19-inch fish, no 20s. But I mean, there's a couple of folks that you can follow up there that take folks out and fish as guides. And the last couple of weeks they've been posting pictures, and they've been catching a lot of really good fish. So we're pumped. We're hoping October, you know, is everybody wants to feed up for wintertime, that it's going to be game on, and everybody's just going to get after them.
It sounds like I said, if you're into catching greens or you're catching browns, it doesn't really matter, because out there's enough for everybody to just go out and maybe fish the way that you fish. You know what I mean? Like, you have options, take them. You know, like, if you want to do this, do this. If you don't want it, I'll try this. You know,
it's a very unique section of any body of water, and I think, like Jake said, it's honestly overlooked a lot. You know,
really,
that most folks, because most folks think fishing the Susquehanna, they're going to go north of that, and then if they're talking about fishing for largemouth and greens, you know, they're going to go further south because of Chesapeake Bay, and there's big grass flats down there that folks typically go fish when they go for largemouth. So this area is overlooked, as Jake said. So, but we're hoping it's gonna, you know, we're gonna hit a good weekend and it's gonna show out, and you know, everybody's gonna get out there and have some fun. And hopefully we get a whole bunch of personal bests from folks, which would be amazing to see.
Yeah, like I said, you have the opportunity to do some amazing things out there. Maybe cash a check, or even better, you know, break a personal best. That's really cool. Now, if like with after this, when you guys start, you know, your season ends, do you guys do, like a ceremony like at the end? Do you guys, you know, obviously you seem to do awards because you guys will post pictures of the winners and whatnot, but how's an event usually go with the Mid-Atlantic?
So for our standard events, typically one-day events, single-day events most of the season, and we do awards, you know, right after the event, where we have, you know, we're giving out, you know, a lot of these amazing sponsors that you've mentioned have provided some awesome stuff we've been giving out throughout the year. And then at the Tournament of Champions, we have both the finishers for that event, because for our anglers, for the anglers that qualify for that, it's a no-fee event. So they get to show up and fish for a great prize. First place is $1,000. So we'll award the places that get paid out for that tournament itself, and then after that, we'll actually crown our season-long both Anglers of the Year and then individual awards. So we give like a big bass for the season, which is sponsored by Delaware Paddle Sports. We give away Angler of the Year, and then we've got prizes for those top finishers for the season from a lot of these unbelievable sponsors.
Now, yeah, and that is pretty neat. Like you have, wow, like yeah, and it's because on the Mid-Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing website, you guys have that all up there where you can see like Angler of the Year standings for obviously live events, and then you have Angler of the Year standings for online events, which is cool. So, yeah, no, that's like that's pretty neat. And you guys, your website, it's very professional. It's all laid out. You have your series info and how to become a member. So yeah, if you're in the Delaware to Pennsylvania, all the way down Virginia, if you're come out and fish with these guys, like go out there, come fish with Matt and the rest of the awesome coordinators that he has with them. Become a member. Go challenge yourself. It's that's really cool. And like I said, you have some also fantastic JK team members who are doing great things. At the same time, they're bringing people together to paddle, to fish, to have a good time, and that's positive vibes right there. So I gotta ask you, what is in store for Mr. Campbell? What do you got going on the rest of your kayak season?
So rest of the season, outside of the MAKBF events, we talked about actually Mike Iaconelli for his Ike Foundation. He does a tournament every fall. His tournament this fall in September, late September, is actually going to be on the Susquehanna River. So I'm going to go back and fish that event.
Oh, that's cool.
End of September. So I've known a couple of folks in the past that have fished it up. It's usually on a pond or lake up in Jersey, but he's moved it this year. So I'm going to jump in on that, which should be a lot of fun. I actually got to meet him and his son at the Bassmaster. So because he fished the Bassmaster and his son Vegas actually fished our event for the weekend. So that was awesome. It was his first event. So that was super cool to see. So it'll be fun to go fish his foundation tournament and, have some of that money go to benefit his foundation and help some folks out.
Yeah, that's cool. I met Mike Iaconelli years and years and years ago in Waddington, New York, for the Bassmaster Elite Series. I got a chance to shake hands with him and say hello. And yeah, no, it was really cool. Like really, he's quite he's an iconic, bass angler, and he's very animated, in his winnings, and he expresses his happiness and all sorts of it's cool. So you got that going down. That's going to be a lot of fun, and that's really cool that at the same time getting involved with foundations, stuff like that. That's cool. Those are a lot of work.
We're gonna wrap up the season late October. The Native Big Bass Power Hour is going to be on the Susquehanna in late October.
Oh wow!
Which I hope they have paid the judges well, and they've got lots of them, because there's just going to be some ridiculous numbers of fish put up in October on that river. So
if you're going to fish the Susquehanna River, I've found a spot that is on the New York Pennsylvania border where I'm going to go do a most likely a 2-day stretch on the Susquehanna River. If you were to give anybody any advice just for fishing the Susquehanna, like what would you say the best time of year is to fish the Susquehanna River? Or what's your favorite season if that nails it down for you?
Any?
I like that. I like that.
It's, I did nothing but power fish 2 weeks ago in the heat of summer. In the fall, you can throw big baits. I've had days in the fall where I've thrown a whopper plopper 130, which, I mean, if you know the size of that,
yeah,
I've thrown
that's
all day long on the
big.
river. That's all I threw.
Wow.
In the springtime, you can get into some of those creeks, and depending on where you are, I mean, you could have 100 fish days. They're not all going to be monsters, but you can sit there and just crush them. Your odds of getting a true giant are better in the spring, if that's what you're fishing for. In the fall, man, in the fall it can be fun because they just fight over baits.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough and unbelievably fortunate that both times it happened was on a tournament day where I threw a topwater bait out and I caught 2 smallmouth
You
in one
doubled up.
cast. So I had one cast that was early in the morning, and it was a 17-inch and an 18-inch on either hook. And then that day I was talking about on Goldsboro, I threw a cast out and I caught 2 19-inch fish in one cast. But in the fall, they're just, I always call them angry little hulks on the Susquehanna.
Yeah.
Because they're just, even the 15-inch fish pull like tanks. But in the fall, they can hit a lure so hard they'll throw it out of the water 6 feet, and they'll almost fight each other when they're packed up like that to get a hold of a bait. And it's wild to see.
Yeah, I see a lot of videos where you hear the guy or the person, the angler talking, and they're like they're reeling in, like, oh my god, he's literally trying to take it out of his mouth, and it's like, you're telling me there's another smallmouth trying to take the bait out of the other smallmouth's mouth, which is already hooked up, and you like, what? Like,
funny story. 2 years ago this summer, about this time of year too, a friend of mine in this area and I went out on the river, and we had some showers come through like midday, and we were doing about an 8-mile float, and the showers for whatever reason kicked them into gear, and they were literally busting on bait on these flats in the middle of the river. He threw a topwater bait out and hooked what I think was about a 16 to 17-inch smallmouth. And he got a good explosion on it, and out of nowhere we see this wake literally just come missling in. I was like, well, I literally threw my bait out, landed it probably 6 inches behind it, hammered it, and it was about an 18-inch. He was coming to try and get that bait out of that other fish's mouth.
Wow.
They just, if you get a chance to come fish the Susquehanna, I would come fish it no matter when you get down here. But there's different aspects, especially if you're in a kayak, because I spent a fair amount of time for the Bassmaster walking different sections just because it gets real low. But
yeah,
you're also there. The boats can't stop there. The boats can't fish there. It's too shallow. So come fish it whenever you can.
Definitely. It's one of those. It's really been on my list, and this year I was kind of going through and doing my research on where I was going to end up and trying to make it. And I know even like Drew Gregory was like, yeah, man, like you're only like 5 hours from like the Festa on the Susky. I'm like, yeah, it's like, oh, that would be really cool to just come down and experience the whole kayak venture series. But anyways, it didn't pan out, unfortunately. But no, I kind of been doing my research and checking along and, mapping it all out. And so I think I found something that will work. And I've spoken with another teammate about it too. And yeah, no, it's definitely a river I just want to go and experience. I would like to, and then maybe get further and further down it to experience different parts of it. But it's one of those rivers, I have to say, it's on my bucket list of places that I would love to go and fish and just experience the whole Susquehanna River in its full. But that's so you kind of come into the end, and then that's it for your season after the or do you continue to fish like into the winter?
I will fish once it gets cold enough. In wintertime, I typically kind of bail out because at that point it's, I did it, in some of my younger years, 10 years ago, where, we got out there and cracked some ice on the edge of the lake and got out there and fished. But, it's a grind at times. And, I kind of treat the winter as my break and to get some of those things I need to do around the house done. And that's list caught up.
Then that my season in Ontario, usually I try to go as far as I can, but once it gets to the point that it gets too cold out, and then once the snow flies and everything freezes, it's that's my time to say, see you later, kayak fishing. I'll see you in the new year, but no, I was curious because, there are a lot of people who do winter fish it, obviously, and do a lot of further south. And do you travel at all into like other states throughout, or is just kind of that's it for your fishing in the wintertime? Because I know some people that go like even further down south, you know what I mean, to fish.
Yeah, I haven't. I'd like to at some point. I haven't made it to, like, say, the Hobies and Bass Masters that they host in January and February down in like Florida or Alabama.
Yeah.
I would like to do that at some point. I've been a little tighter on vacation time the last couple of years, so I wasn't able to make some of those trips where a few of the folks in this area did it. And it looks like a blast when they get down there. So I would like to get down there, but I just haven't yet.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, it would kind of be cool to, like, for me, like, to leave the north where it's literally like snow, and then I've had friends I've gone down to fish some of these, and it's cool seeing their travels. It's like snow, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, it's like warm for them, but for everybody else it's like, it's cooler temps. But no, that's really cool. I wanted to say, as we come to the end of this River Run podcast, because like I wanted to just thank you for coming on, Matt. Let the folks know where they can find you, man. Like, give some shout outs, I think this is your time to let it shine, my friend.
Well, thanks, Adam, for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a good time. Always love talking fishing. So you do it forever,
sure.
As far as socials and stuff, just Matt Campbell on Facebook, and then Instagram, it's at Volboy23. As Adam said, I've been trying to share, well, especially all through this fishing season, I always have pictures and things coming up. So always try and have some fun, even if it's a good sunrise or a good fish, sharing the joy and having a good time enjoying it. And then folks to thank, of course, Jackson Kayak for being a part of their family and the amazing kayaks that we get access to and get to use. And I definitely put them through their paces. And, if I can beat on them in all the areas I do, anybody can do it. Delaware Paddle Sports, I'm on their team, and those folks are it's an amazing group of people. It's a lot like, it's a mini JK to me. It's a family environment, and they treat us well. And then iRod Fishing, I actually use iRods out of California, so love those guys. And P-Line, so stringing everything up with P-Line, and it's it's been amazing. People think I'm crazy for using 8-pound on my spinning gear on the river, but it works great. And I always catching fish with it. So
Hey, why change what works? You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Keep it rolling.
Yeah, keep it rolling. Well, you know what, Matt, thank you so much for coming on down the River Run podcast. I'm super excited to have you on. I've always enjoyed watching all of the Mid-Atlantic kayak bass fishing posts online, and it's been also an honor to be a teammate with you, somebody who's so involved within the kayak community, a senior JK member. And I have to say, thank you once again for stopping on by the River Run. I'm your host, Adam Pross. My guest, Matt Campbell. Him and I are going to sign off now. Enjoy your evening. Don't forget, make sure you like, subscribe, Paddle and Fin. Don't forget, the River Run podcast is on Instagram, is on Facebook. So make sure you go out, check it out, hit a like, hit a follow. And don't worry, we'll make sure to follow you back. I'm Adam Pross once again. Thank you for stopping on by the River Run